All right, so did some playing. So now we got the body all together, right? We got that sweet thing tucked up back there. Dang, can't wait. We got the long travel. So long travel rear, long travel front. Got the XL here, the XL on the other wall. All right, so these lugs are pretty tits. Comes with adapters to make everything work. Damn, this looks so sick on the phone. Got the crossover still. It's got the ABS ring and everything still with it. The brakes in there for the now. I've actually got to trim these guys here. Take that out, both sides. The edge closest to the base of the fork, so it doesn't hit it during travel. So I'm gonna have to play with that at work tomorrow. But like we did, X-Trig clamps, 49mm MX Tech. These are the blackjacks up front. They're top of the line. National shock in the back. Did me a big questionnaire. How many cheeseburgers do you have in a day? Do you ever exercise? I already know the answer is no, but I have to ask it anyways. Blah, blah, blah. So that was kind of tight. Yeah, I'm so stoked how this came out. One thing I'm worried about would be my clearance when I get my big giant AXP skid plate back on here. I don't know how that clearance is going to be and if I'm going to have to help it along. And then, so the clamps up top, the flex kit came with these big boys. And these were dope, but I've got my Cycra Pro brands and I did the HCMs to leave space on the bars for everything. So these guys weren't going to work with that. And the Cycra fasteners were too deep. There's just about 5mm too much. You can see how it just penetrates well below. These are the factory takeoff handlebar clamps, the bolts. So that worked out a treat. So I just repurposed them for the now. Dropped on some washers to help spread the load across because it's surprisingly a rather liberal hole they made in there. Generous, probably the better word. Generous hole they made in there. So I wanted to take up as much as possible, squish these guys down a little bit. And now I'll actually be able to move the quad lock to the center. So you have now been promoted. It's one of my elite employees. This isn't going to age well thanks to that line. But yeah, now I can put this big boy smack dab up in the middle, since the factory triple was kind of whack in that it was solid. But here's a fun little tiddly bit about this factory joint right here. So if I sit it on my handy dandy flat top wood bench, look at this. Look at that gap. So yeah, I was definitely tweaked. Not tweaking, but tweaked. Which is like doggone. Too bad. Come on, bro. We're just not going to focus. But yeah, this badonkadonk definitely has seen some shit. She's been wrecked hard many times. Enduros, rallies. I've eaten it a bunch. Yeah. And then this in here. So this is the factory. I took all the remainder off. And this little piece is actually just a generic PSR for like $30. So it's a PSR along with 2 bits of hardware here. So these were M8 by 16, I believe. Stainless steel, marine grade. I wanted cap head, but they were all sold out at Ace, and I wanted this done for the Enduro event I was doing. So, you know, I got some thick bitties up here, but yeah. So M8 by 16, I do believe, with just standard, you know, flare nut on the back and a washer to disperse the load across the plastic, and that squished down nice and good. I have an issue with tearing plates, so I just have 2 plates sandwiched together, and even then they've wiggled a good bit. got the HammerLEDs. I finally gave up on running them out here, and I saw Adam Ryman do this, Mr. Australia's finest, and I was super pleased. I mean, it's definitely silly looking a little bit, but if I'm not ripping them off anymore, I'm with it. So that's cool. But I thought that was a big ol' thumbs up. I don't think there's any other updates I can think of on this big girl. I'm only at 8,200 miles, and I got to figure out, my AXP bashes up against this. It came with foam on it, and the foam's not in the right spot. That's okay. I hate this though. So you can see it rubs well down here. The foam's up here. So don't know what that's all about. That's what they did. But you can see this is the tail level. This is the part that I'm worried about with clearance, lack thereof. So I might have to hit it with a little bit of a cut. I might have to give it a little bit of a relief cut up the center and kind of play with it. I don't know. We'll see. And then those guys will go on. Actually, shit, I might be able to... Fuck, I can put those on now. And then when these are trimmed, these will go back in on top. Well, I can only do the lowers. I can't do the upper because I need them out. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty well there. Don't think you can get by. Get this now. It's like 29 bucks on Amazon. So it'll cross-reference to the Yamaha part number. I used the innermost hole to minimize the leverage. I thought that would be way too much leverage. Just kept it there. Owner's manual says 5 Newton meters, and the boys over at MX Tech said between 5 and 10 Newton meters, so I went with a solid like 7.5, 8, just to snug up the front end a little bit, because when I'm rolling this thing at speed and sand, it gets a little bit twitchy, so figure I'd just a little bit extra resistance, hold it back a little bit. But yeah, she's about to have a new life, and absolutely hate this life just like she did the last one. I'm a terrible owner.